And away we go on the tee this January 26, 2011. On the tee, I was #1 listening to golf show. Two hacks and a pro tonight in our Palatial Clubhouse studios here on the flagship ESPN 1700 The Champ and all of our great affiliates on the Iowa Sports Connection radio network. We're also on television and WHO TV 13.2, Mediacon channels 113, 246, and great radio stations like 620 KMNS in Sioux City on the Missouri, and all the way over to the Mississippi at 1230 WFXN in the Quad Cities. I'm Mike Rickard, Hapless Hack, alongside TD, Tim Dare, our man at the Masters, and Mark Egley, former Michigan State Spartan, owner and operator of Des Moines Driving Range, and two-time IPGA Teacher of the Year, and numerous winner on the IPGA. I was reading your resume a little bit this week. Pretty impressive, my friend. What was really impressive last night was our buddy Zach Johnson. You were both there over there at Drake, the Double D Award, and $50,000 quickly to Sandy Hatfield and the coffers of Drake University.
Pretty sensational move. It comes a little bit from a donation to the Ryder Cup and the proceeds from that and the Golf America. And boy, he put in a long, long day yesterday, and boy, Drake has a lot to be proud with him.
Great crowd there. It looked like actually a great game for the Bulldogs. As you are attired tonight, not in your Chicago Bear gear. We'll talk a little bit about that.
I got my Drake gear on in honor of Zach, and again, as Mark was there too at the Double D Award banquet. A great speech by Zach. Just an Iowan, a humble Iowan. Great guy, great representative of the state, great representative of Drake University, and he was terrific all night with fans. At the basketball game, as Mark said, they rushed him around all day long in a busy day, but he had that smile and that his parents were there last night. He sat next to Sean Johnson at the basketball game and for a while, and it was just a great day, and Zach Johnson's a guy to be proud of if you're an Iowan.
Well, he certainly must have not been too tired, because after the ball game, there was a Peggy's appearance. and of course, as Maggie Sutton takes a look over there as a Drake student on the television side, of course, any alumni that returns has to go to the historic dump that is Peggy's. Required consumption over there, right?
That's right. You're not an official Drake student unless you.
That place drives me nuts. You go there, it's $2.50 for a draw during the school year. You go there for the Drake relays, $6. No, it's not $5, Ben. $6 for tap beer. Unbelievable. Hey, we're efforting our good buddy Alex Micelli from the Golf Channel. If we do miss him, I understand why. If you watch the Golf Channel as religiously as I do, they now have a morning show called The Morning Drive. He was on The Morning Drive. He was on Golf Central, and he's preparing right now for the Grey Goose show. So we may not get him in. I want to have some fun with him and my buddy Tim Dare, TD, the Chicago Bear fan. TD, I was so pleased last week when you gave me these Chicago Bears balls.
Yeah.
But I think that the Bears need their balls back. So there you go, my friend. You can have your Bears balls, as you said, back, because they're going to need those. So will Jay Cutler.
Are you saying the C on here stands for Cutler instead of Chicago?
Yeah, precisely. So, there's his balls back in your.
All right. Well, there's one blue one, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's the gift you gave me. These tees, I don't know what to do with them, but you might want to, because people certainly teed off all week long on Jay Cutler, but that's for another conversation. Of course, we're brought to you by Des Moines Imports and our Des Moines Imports radio studios, the largest selection of Kia, Mitsubishi, Suzuki, and Saab in the state of Iowa. They're located one block north of I-8035 on Highway 141 in Grimes. Save thousands on all imports at Des Moines Imports. Visit them at DesMoinesImports.com. Well worth the drive if you're listening on the Iowa Sports Connection Radio Network. Come to the state capitol and head out and see the boys at Des Moines Imports. We're also brought to you by Shankopotamus, Shankopotamus.com. And I keep telling TD we're going to do this, but this is the week, and you've probably been there, of the PGA Merchandise Show. It's the 58th annual. Have you ever been down to it?
Long time ago, and it's shrunk a little bit in the last 20 years, but boy.
Shrunk, it still look massive.
Yeah, it's a pretty impressive sight. We're
going to get some reports next week. Mikey Getz from Callaway is going to call in or stop in the studio and visit us, and Stan Sheffield from FootJoy's down there as well, and we'll get some reports on. I'm going. That's one of my bucket lists. Of course, I have.
That'd be a blast.
Yeah, you and I just have to take a trip, and you'll figure out the show.
And Mike, you throw those names out, Stan and Mike. they're just not supporters of the show. They are truly two. We talk about our golf records and all the great heroes and that. These two are two of the more incredible salesmen that have ever hit the territories of Iowa. I think Stan's probably won Salesman of the Year about a dozen times. It's because they're great.
Well,
Glad they're on board with you.
He's a Coloradan, and he's a tireless worker. He's got about 1 million miles of territory between Iowa and Nebraska. The only problem with Mikey Getch is he's a stinking cornhusker, and I look forward to those battles now that they're in the Big Ten with the Hawks, who are playing basketball, so nobody's probably listening to us right now. And TD's probably texting, trying to get score updates as we proceed. Why don't we dive into the leaderboards? Of course, last week was the Bob Hope win by Johnny Vegas, the Venezuelan, former Texas Longhorn, in a playoff, the first rookie to win the Bob Hope. Pretty impressive. And John Cook wins in Hawaii in the Champions Tour. And Martin Keimer soars to number 2 in the world, and we'll talk more about the number 3 in the world getting his start tomorrow, actually, at noon. Why don't we dive into those leaderboards?
Yeah,
Stevie?
absolutely. As you mentioned, the Bob Hope Desert Classic, Jonathan Vegas. I'm trying to say it correctly.
How are you supposed to pronounce it?
Well,
Is it
the V,
like
the V is almost like a B.
Kind of
It's
like
a V.
Camilo
It's a V and a B
Villegas?
combined. Vegas.
Kind of like Camilo Villegas?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's pretty impressive what he's done.
Jonathan Vegas wins the Bob Hope Desert Classic.
Johnny Vegas.
Yeah,
Sounds more
Johnny.
Showtime.
Here's Johnny Vegas, and it does.
He didn't
especially with
spell
Bob
it right
Hope.
either.
Over defending champion Billy Haas and the long-hitting Gary Woodland in a playoff. And so Ryan Palmer, one stroke back out of that. But the big news was Matt Kuchar, your boy, your horse in our event, pulled it out there at the end over Boo Weekly, Mark's choice. Unfortunately, my guy didn't make the cut, but
we'll talk a lot more about that, and of course our new weekly 2011 PGA Pick the Pro contest, as the Hack has a commanding 1 event lead.
1-0. All right. Well, they also out in Hawaii, the Champions Tour, as you mentioned, the Mitsubishi Electric Championship kicked things off for them, and John Cook with a 2-stroke victory over Tommy Lehman and Tom Watson.
Couple of great names there at the top of that leaderboard, and this week they've got the Skins, Benny Crenshaw and you met Ben and Fuzzy Zeller teaming up. We've had both of them on the tee, and that's a tandem that plays well together. So that'll be a lot of fun. That's on the Golf Channel this weekend as well.
Well, I'll tell you what. Anytime you can get the legends of the game to come out and put their A game out front, it's fun to watch.
Well,
Yeah.
And entertaining with Fuzzy.
Well, speaking of A games out front, tomorrow is the return of Tiger Woods, who couldn't wait for the calendar year to flip over. He tees off tomorrow at noon with Rocco Mediate, as well as Anthony Kim, and that's a noon, which will be 10 o'clock our time.
And he starts on the tough course. He starts on the south course.
2 o'clock our time, I'm sorry.
I think Rocco and Tiger played once before.
I think they've been there before, maybe. Huh?
Which I still think was, given the fact that now we know all of the things that were on his mind, not along with the injury, I still think his most impressive performance.
It was extremely impressive, and to think that match went as long as it did, to think we made it to sudden death on such a great event.
Yeah, that putt on 18 he made was incredible.
I loved it because I didn't do anything on Monday. That was the beautiful thing. Right now at the half, Penn State Nittany Lions 29, the University of Iowa Hawkeyes 28. McCaffrey got off the Schneid and got his first win, and hopefully tonight does the same thing against the Nittany Lions. Hey, when you talk about the return of Tiger Woods making his debut, he's had 7 wins on Torrey Pines, so that's very impressive. But this is Lefty's hometown, and Lefty was disappointed after a great start last year, winning the Masters. Of course, we know the issues with his wife's health, and then of course this arthritic condition. But what do you see this year? We'll start with you, Mark. What do you see with Tiger Woods? You see 4 or 5 wins down the road. Rocco Mediate said today, easily 4 or 5 wins.
All I want to do is see how well he putts the ball. I'm not the biggest fan of all his swing changes, because when you become great, like right now, if you look on the PGA Tour stats, you're going to see Zach Johnson, even though he had a little bit of an injury, is number 1 in driving accuracy, maybe number 2. It's somewhere in the mid 80s. And visiting with Zach yesterday, if you read anything about him, he's not going to woe him with the big long 300-yard tee shots. He feels prowess and overjoyed when he makes that 15-foot putt. And so we got a guy here in Des Moines that knows what it takes to win on the PGA Tour, and that's what it's going to come down to for Tiger. Leave his flipping swing alone. All these guys that are trying to help Rush Limbaugh?
Yeah.
The guys
Hey, Caney.
And Hank Caney and do all this? maybe they can work with tour players. But have you seen Charles Barkley? Have you seen Ray Romano really get any better? Because you can't talk to those kind of people. And then you get.
How would you like to have Rush Limbaugh out in your range?
I could handle that one.
You've probably handled guys with his type of personality anyway.
I see Haney out there. He puts his hitting board behind the ball and tells him, "Don't hit it." Well, why don't you teach him something he can do to change it so he doesn't hit it? And I could see that one busted up before long unless they're really good buddies.
Well, no, I love to comment that if you haven't seen it, folks, it's on the Golf Channel, and we're talking about Rush Limbaugh. It's year number 3 of working with Hank Haney. He started out with Charles Barkley last year, Ray Romano, and this year he's got Rush Limbaugh. Quite a diverse trio of guys to work with. But today's quote on one of the promos from Rush Limbaugh is, "If this gets too oppressive, I can exit." There's the exit, and he points at Hank Haney. And he never goes to the range. He never has gone to the range.
He just plays.
Yeah, so Hank says the bottom line is, I need somebody who wants to improve their game to commit 10 hours a week to me. And Rush Limbaugh said that's not happening. It's not happening.
He's got some other gig, I think.
Yeah, just a little bit. And I know you listen on a daily basis.
Quite a bit, I must admit.
Got Alex for a few minutes.
We got Alex for a couple minutes. He's kind enough to join us. Of course, as I mentioned, he's going to do Grey Goose. He's had a full day. He started out with the morning drive, saw him on Golf Central. What are you going, Grey Goose, set in about 2 seconds?
Yeah, I tell you, television is crazy. So I got like 5 minutes for you, Michael. How are you doing?
We're doing superb, my friend. I guess the only thing we'll ask you today. Last night, one of the colleges you went to, they recognized Zach Johnson for the Double D Award, and then he gave a quick $50,000. That would have been a great ceremony for you to attend as a former Bulldog. But let's talk about this week's Farmers, and of course the debut of Tiger and Lefty. And I saw your picks. You're high on Dustin Johnson and Anthony Kim. I can't remember your third pick, but what do you think is going to happen this weekend between Lefty and Tiger Woods?
Well, I mean, everybody thinks that Tiger's coming back and that he's going to play well, and we're looking at what happened at the end of last year. But one thing he didn't do well at the end of last year, even though he hit the ball better, is he didn't putt better, I would think. So he doesn't putt well, as you know. It doesn't really matter how well he strikes the ball. He probably is going to win a golf tournament at the PGA Tour.
Well, Alex, Mark Hagley here, and that's what we were literally just discussing a minute before he came on the air here. If he putts the golf ball well, then he becomes a 4, 5, 6 championship winner this year, and if he doesn't, he's just a great person we can watch every weekend.
That's exactly right. So, and I don't know if his new coach is actually able to help him with that or not. I mean, it's a small area between your ears to deal with putting, and if he doesn't have that figured out, then no matter what anybody does.
Alex, you're my newest best friend because you just confirmed everything we've just been talking about here.
Alex, what do you think about Phil? And he's playing with Dustin Johnson. That's a pretty good pairing there for those two, and they're starting on the North Course.
Yeah, they are friends, but they didn't do very well when they prepared together at the Ryder Cup. They're certainly a little different story than playing in a golf tournament. This situation. I think that North Course is the place where you can go get it. If you don't get it there, then you're really behind the 8 ball. So they're going to have to be forced to play well, play quickly. Score well, and if not, then it's going to be a little tougher going to the South Course the other 3 days.
I was hoping to get you on last week, but you were swamped because my Green Bay Packers and your Chicago Bears were doing battle. I wanted to get a little friendly side bet going there. How'd you survive Sunday?
I'm sorry, I think you broke up there. I couldn't hear any of that.
Yeah, you sound like the guy across from me.
Hey, Alex, I'm a Bears fan, and I was here representing. I had my Bears gear on, and I presented Mike with some Bears golf balls. So he had Bears balls, even though he was rooting for the Packers.
Well, you better watch out because he loses things really easily, so I'm sure those are already lost.
Yeah, they're back in his hands. Well, you know what? We just appreciate you taking the time. I really enjoyed that morning drive. I think that was a good move on Golf Channel's parts. It's amazing how many moving parts the Golf Channel has now, the new shows that they keep launching. We were talking about the challenge that Hank Haney has working with Rush Limbaugh, and that's another interesting program that they have there.
Yeah, and talking to Hank, he really likes working with Rush. He feels like he's really trying.
Well, we appreciate you taking time. We'll be watching it tonight in Grey Goose, and we'll catch up with you a couple weeks down the road.
All right, guys, take care.
Thanks,
you,
Alex.
Alex Micelli. You know why it's like that? Because he's literally in the studio.
Yeah.
And if you're not aware of the weather conditions they're having down there right now, tornadoes. Our buddy Kurt Tyler,
Is that right?
Coca-Cola, down there. I sent him an email last night. He says, I'm in the middle of a tornado. I'll get a hold of you later. I haven't heard from him. My mom lives in between St. Pete's and Clearwater.
Wow.
And they had tornadoes and, of course, very inclement weather down there. But Alex Micelli, kind enough to join us. And if you haven't seen him, he's the guy with the bow tie. He's a stat man. He's got a law degree. He went to Drake for 2 years, and he went to Southern. He's basically a Missouri Valley guy.
He's a Mo Valley guy.
Yeah, he went to Southern Illinois for a couple years. Great guy. And we typically ask all the Golf Channel celebrities and personalities that join us, you know, who the better sticks are in the house that are ex-PGA guys. And they said, Alex, about a 9 handicap. He doesn't look like it, does he?
No.
Looks like a professor.
No, I'd like to see him though with the old hickory sticks, and he could keep his bow tie on that way, and kind of get out there in the old gear they used to wear. He might look good in that.
Several years ago, that's how we met him. He was at the PGA up in Minneapolis and stopped and wanted to play Waveland because he drove.
Yes.
And was on his way to Chicago and thought, you know what, I'm just going to stop at Waveland and play around. And he ran into Bobby Vanskoy. And then I was asking the producer down at the Golf Channel for names to get on. And he said, well, geez, we think Alex Micelli is somewhere between Minnesota and Illinois. And he certainly happened to be here. And ever since then, he's become a regular and a good friend of the program.
He does a fantastic job.
Talk about confirming your assessment. Now I'm impressed. How about Tiger Woods?
That's why he's been Teacher of the Year so often.
That's precisely what he said.
I gotta tune into his show all the time.
Yeah, you do.
Bright guy, yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break, come back, and we'll do. No, we won't. We won't have enough time. We'll wait till 6:35 and we'll do our Pick the Pro contest. We'll come back and kick around the tournaments left this weekend, talk a little bit more about Zach Johnson, and we'll be back on the tee on the Iowa Sports Connection Radio Network.